You've heard the saying 1,000 times, right? Small businesses are the backbone of the economy. They're where all the jobs and new ideas come from. But what if that story, as true as it is missing the most exciting part of the picture? So let's really dig into that.
You know, it's this core belief that drives so much economic policy, so much of what we think about how the world works. But today, using some really fascinating new data from the OECD, we're going to put that idea under the microscope and see if it really holds up. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack that common story about small businesses. Then, we'll introduce you to the real stars of the show, these companies called scalers. We'll see just how huge their impact is, figure out what makes them such productivity powerhouses, and then look at the puzzle of how to actually support them. And finally, we'll ask, what does this all mean for the future? All right, section 1. To really get the twist in this story, we first have to start with the version we all think we know. And look, there is so much truth to this. Small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, are absolutely vital. I mean, they're the heart of local communities. No one is debating how important they are. But when it comes to growth, that's where the story gets really interesting. Because here's the kicker. The data shows that between 2011 and 2020, about half of all SMEs, well, they barely grew at all. We're talking 1% or less in new hires per year. And hey, that's totally fine. Many are trying to be the next big thing. But it does mean they aren't the massive job creation machines we might imagine. So, if it's not the average small business, where do all the new jobs come from? And that very question leads us to the real heroes of our story today, a very special group of companies that the OECD calls scalers. So what exactly is a scaler? Well, think of a company that's already established. It has at least 10 employees. But it's not just growing, it is exploding. We're talking about an average growth rate of at least 10% year after year for 3 years running. This is some serious, sustained speed. And just how common are these companies? Well, not very. Have a look here. Whether you measure them by how many people they hire or how much their revenue grows, they're just a tiny sliver of all small and medium businesses. They're absolutely the exception, not the rule. Okay, so they're rare. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it is a huge deal. This is where the numbers start to get a little bit wild. I mean, just look at this. That tiny, rare group of firms we just mentioned, the scalers, are responsible for creating somewhere between 41 and 62% of all the new jobs from growing SMEs. Think about that. This small group is doing almost all of the heavy lifting for the entire sector. And if you want a real-world number to wrap your head around, check this out. In France alone, in just a 3-year window, these high-growth firms created over 500,000 new jobs. That is a massive, tangible impact on people's lives. And it's not just about hiring people. When you look at who's actually creating new economic value, their impact is even bigger. As you can see, scalers generate well over half, sometimes almost 3/4 of all the turnover growth. They are basically economic rocket ships. And believe it or not, the story gets even more concentrated. Within that scaler group, there's this super elite club of high-growth scalers, the ones growing over 20% a year. This tiny, tiny fraction of companies is responsible for about 2/3 of all that job and revenue growth we just saw. It's just incredible how focused that dynamism really is. It's okay, scalers get bigger and they do it fast. We've got that. But here's a really key piece of the puzzle. It's not just about size. It's about being better. They are just fundamentally more efficient. And to really get this, we need to quickly talk about something called multi-factor productivity, or MFP. Now, don't let the name scare you. Just think of it like a company's GPA for efficiency. It measures how smart they are at turning their resources, people, machines, money, into actual output. It's the true measure of working smarter, not just harder. What's fascinating is that not all scalers follow the same playbook. In the services world, companies tend to be super efficient first, and that efficiency is what fuels their growth. But in manufacturing, it's often the other way around. They'll make huge investments in new tech that actually hurts productivity for a bit. But then, once they scale up, boom, it pays off big time. 2 different paths to the same powerful result. So what does all this efficiency actually mean for the rest of us? Well, get this. If you just snapped your fingers and made all the scalers disappear, the overall productivity of the entire economy would drop by a whopping 6%. They literally lift the whole system up just by existing.
Okay, so this brings us to the big question, right? If this small group of companies is so incredibly important for all of us, what are governments actually doing to help them? And are they even doing the right things?
Well, the OECD points to 5 really critical areas where policy can make a difference. And it's a whole ecosystem, isn't it? It's about access to the right kind of funding. It's about helping firms go global. It's connecting them to innovation and R&D. And of course, it's about talent, having the right skilled people. It's not just about writing a check.
So with all those options, where do governments actually put their energy? Well, this chart is really telling. When you look at over 2,500 different policies, almost half of them are focused on just one thing: financial support. Grants, loans, that sort of thing. That's obviously important, but is it the only thing that matters?
And here's where things get really tricky. The support system for these vital firms is, well, it's kind of a mess. Policies are run by dozens of different agencies, and get this, more than a third of them don't even specialize in SMEs, and they almost never work together. Just imagine being a founder trying to navigate all that. It's a maze of potential gaps and dead ends.
All right, let's bring it all home. We've covered a lot of ground, so let's put all the pieces together and ask, what does this all really mean for the big picture? If you take one thing away from this explainer today, let it be this: economic growth, that dynamism we all want, doesn't come from everywhere equally. It is incredibly concentrated in a small, vital, supercharged group of firms. And once you understand that, it changes everything. We're not trying to make every sailboat a speedboat, we're trying to figure out how to give the existing speedboats more fuel. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. It's not just about supporting the scalers that are already out there, it's about clearing the path for the next generation. So how do we design our policies, our education systems, our whole economic environment to help more promising companies make that giant, terrifying leap to becoming a scaler? That isn't $1 million question, it's the $1 trillion question for our collective future.